What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Core Team Hawaii's live stream. I almost said we're going to turn this into a podcast and start uploading it to all the platforms. So I was like, the Hawaii Real Estate Podcast. I don't know. We'll see what we call it. Core Team Hawaii Podcast, Core Team Hawaii Real Estate Podcast. But this will start getting uploaded to Spotify, iTunes, and all of those things. But as always, go to coreteamhawaii.com, go to the very bottom of the page, fill out the contact form, and that's how you get in touch with us if you're looking to buy, looking to sell. Today, we're going to do check-ins. We're going to do check-ins with each person.
Yes.
So,
as always, if you guys have questions that come up while we're here, feel free to send them over. We'll either get to them today or the next time. But today, we're going to talk story with you guys and check in with each other.
Yep. So those who are watching live on YouTube, leave your questions, or if you're watching after the fact on YouTube, leave your questions and we'll try to address them on the next one. Mahe has our safe surveys.
Yes.
So each person that comes in today, we're going to do check-ins.
Yep.
Aiden's going to sit down. Kenny's going to sit down. Jody will be here in a little bit. She's going to sit down. And Mahe's just going to ask everyone about how their business is going and sort of who knows? Maybe people are going to get into their feels on the market. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yep.
But you're going to hear from 4 real estate agents and a loan officer today on just how things are going quickly. 10 minutes or less each.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Time limit. Okay.
Gotta be
Okay.
quick.
Okay.
Gotta be quick.
All right. So before we get into that, we like to share with you guys our safe surveys. As you guys know, it's just.
So you're going to do that each time. Like if Kenny comes in, you give Kenny safe survey.
Okay. Well,
that's his opening.
What about mine?
I read yours.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, what about mine though?
For first time reaching out to Core Team Hawaii, our buying criteria evolved, and Mahi has been there every step of the way to offer knowledge and guidance. We're in the final steps of closing, and we couldn't be happier with what we're buying. Being an off-island buyer, it's critical to work with someone as productive, communicative, and connected as Mahi. It's obvious her and her team are respected in the local industry and surround themselves with professional and trustworthy partners from financing through inspection. P.S. It's apparent Derek is the brains.
Oh my God. I know you added that
in. No, just kidding. And that's from Ben and Christine. They're amazing.
Amazing. We just closed yesterday. Today's Tuesday, right?
Yes. Yeah, it was yesterday.
Congrats to Ben and Christine. We just closed yesterday. And like not even joking, I was telling Ben when we were there, I think that their unit is like of like everything I've sold in the last couple of years, the one that I would like want to live in.
Yeah.
Which is like surprising to me because, I'm like a plantation house kind girl, but then there's just like this breathtaking, like
we've always talked about that, like to have a root rooted in that Kakako Ward area.
Yeah. That's something we have definitely talked about before to like have that, but this is like, I would live there full time.
You would?
Yes. It's so nice.
Yeah.
And it's big and it's just like the view is beautiful. And
I showed up to the final walkthrough late, so I didn't get to see it.
It's real nice.
But
okay. Thank you to Ben and Christine. Really appreciate you guys. Cool people. Love working with, people who are just like cool to be around. So it's a really fun transaction and
cool. And so that one closed yesterday. We closed you and Aiden, but we as a team closed kind of horrific one.
The worst one.
Last week.
I'm trying to think if there's been a worse escrow for me. Oh, yes, there has.
There's been one.
There has. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There's because.
Oh, you got like reminded of it too, huh?
This morning.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We can't talk trash here about specific people, but someone whose name I'm just kidding.
Don't.
Whose name they hid termite damage, were not communicative, tried to steal our client, just pilau kind things. Pilau kind things. And that was a really big purchase with well-connected people. Like don't hide material facts when these people have attorneys. I mean, don't hide them, period.
Yeah.
But what are you doing?
Come on. Be for real.
Yeah. So I'm gonna jump off and let Kenny get on real soon.
Yep.
For me, like I am buying a house, so that's exciting. I'm gonna rent my house out. It'll be negative cash flow. That's interesting.
Have you decided on renting? Like you've decided you're gonna rent your house out, and when you're gonna come to market and all that stuff?
I don't.
Okay.
Why? Because you like rental.
I might. I don't know.
Mahe has a place with her husband.
But my kids are outgrowing it a bit.
Yeah.
Here.
So that could be. So, hey, stop trying to lobby.
I don't know. I'm just trying to be strategic about my life here. So
It's interesting that would, so I would never buy a house that's I would probably never buy a house that is a negative cash flow situation. However, because I got in with good rates and bought years ago, I'm closer to break even, but I'm not even break even.
Yeah.
And so
we'd be like just break even on ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy thing would be to sell it. However,
it's such a good thing.
It's a good thing. And so we're probably not going to do that.
Do you think that you would sell Ko'olina before you sold Mililani?
So the thing about Ko'olina is we did a cost segregation study as a real estate professional, taking the 27 and a half years depreciation all in day one, saved a bunch of money on taxes that year. But then now if we sell it, every year that goes by, this situation gets better. But if we sold it right now, we'd have to pay depreciation recapture. So money that we saved on taxes by taking depreciation, the government goes, hey, you're not still owning that paint, that air conditioner, that roof, those things that you are depreciating in advance. And so now give us that money back.
Interesting.
And so selling it.
Is there amount of years you have to hold it for that to be not when can you let it go? And
so the cost seg study, basically more like 7 to 10. I forget what my CPA said, but most things, are on a schedule of being bad and within a decade. And so once you get past that hump, you let most of the things depreciate, that would have otherwise. So a dishwasher or paint is every 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're negative cash flow, buying a house that's uncomfortable. Admittedly, the team is slower than previous Marches. And so that's all weird for me. And I'm no different than you guys. I can be afraid while buying or have anxiety around buying. And, but on the other hand,
you're still doing it,
but I'm still doing it because I believe principally, it's better to attain more monopoly pieces and just have more in the market. That said, if you look at the amount of debt that I will hold, that's mind blowing to me. I'll have millions of dollars in debt.
Yeah.
Plural millions.
You own multiple properties.
Yeah.
You say that.
Matter of perspective, right?
Yes.
It's a matter of perspective. Yeah. So people who don't buy because they're like, oh, I don't want $1 million. That's why I didn't buy. I was in California in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I didn't buy anything because all I was focused on was the debt, not the asset accumulation. And there were properties in Oakland in the hood. Not that we would have moved to the hood, but there were properties that went for $80,000. That today, $80,000. That today are probably worth $800.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's how bad the market swing was there. But overall, as team leader, I'm paying attention to some new coaching strategies, potentially new farming. I've had new recruit conversations. We're always looking for one specific piece, but we are also always saying no if it's not the one specific piece. So I'm paying attention to that. I've had a couple of those conversations recently. Some of my really good friends, Dane and Judy, they will be closing soon on their property.
Nice.
So cool things happening and looking to ramp up and pick up. So if anyone wants to buy or sell, hit us up.
CoreTeamHawaii.com, scroll to the bottom, fill out the contact
form.
Kenny
jump in and Mahi's going to check in and do a pulse check with Kenny.
So we're going to bring Kenny in, and while he's making his way in, let's read a safe survey for him. So this is from Christiana.
Yep.
Christiana. He's been super communicative. He's on top of everything and lets me know about deadlines and everything. He's very transparent on the whole process, which is something that I really appreciate. The whole process has been super smooth. Good job, Kenny. Awesome. That's my favorite when I see transparent. Yeah. Every time I see transparent or, knows their stuff or he keeps it real, those are my favorite safe surveys because I'm
especially on this one because it was a fixer-upper.
Oh, okay.
And cool. Fees had gone up recently in the building and we understood what and why and the positives around that, if you can pull any, is that the building is done and updated. So some steadiness there. But I truly appreciate that. That's one of my favorite. That's a compliment that fills me up probably more than some of the others.
Yeah.
So Christiana, thank you. Also closed yesterday and
Oh yeah.
got keys
Okay, cool.
and already doing a couple
The
of little
IAO
fix
one,
up
was
with
it?
yeah, just right up
Okay,
the road,
good, yeah.
Pearl Ridge area.
Nice.
So yeah.
Congratulations, Christiana.
Yes.
Okay, so how's business? Well, how's everything with you?
Good. It was like Derek was saying, a little bit slower March than normal. For me, I think that sort of comes from a quiet February, moving into then March, not picking up maybe as much as previous years.
Yeah.
But closing
I feel
yesterday,
like you did pretty good in first quarter though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
You had a
some
strong
overflow.
first quarter.
All of us really did.
Not me. I'm pretty strong right now.
There we go.
I'm like, it's like cyclical on the team, right? Like
Yeah,
not
yeah.
everybody is like doing the same
Taking
amount all the
turns.
time. Yeah. We always like take turns of who's scared. Like
Yeah.
who's scared, you know, like,
It was scary for a minute. February, March for me was the slowdown, and now does really feel like it's ramping up.
okay.
The final walkthrough today. You and I are working on one that's probably an extra 10 days or so because it's an overseas thing and we're waiting on docs, stuff like that.
Yeah, we got a couple more we might be collaborating on soon too.
Couple more collaborating on. Got one in town now to look at some homes later this week, and somebody showed up this next weekend, so I have showings for next week. So
Awesome.
it is ramping up.
Yeah.
So that's my general pulse of my little piece of the market.
Yeah.
It's a different year. There's a question that maybe
hit it. Let's
chime in on.
Sure.
It's from Lokahi for Life.
Die
Regular
hard.
for the show. Appreciate you. Nice to see y'all. Noticed the price reduction on some homes in Vegas. Wonder how people are feeling with the uncertainty of the nation and the world. I see that from two perspectives, which I always try to do. Like, how do I see it? And then how would a client, or how do just the general consumer base, as I understand it, how would they look at it? And I think there's just two teams. There's I'm really worried about the stock market, and maybe that's where some of my assets are. And so I'm going to hold back because I need to pay attention to that before I consider adding another asset. Not all assets are real estate. It's good to have a diversified portfolio. Yeah. And then there's but when the stock market is not doing well is a good time to hedge against it, to get into real estate. Interest rates projected to get a little better over sooner rather than later. Now, when it was beginning of the year, probably not anything this year. Now it's looking like as soon as maybe May, we would see a decent positive Fed report for but rate improvements. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I would say that it's for us. I'm gonna have two lenses on right now, as an agent and as a buyer, because my husband and I are also buying in Washington right now, which is where he'll be. So we have two different primary residences, one here for me, one there for him. Right. But at the end of the day, like, regardless of what the economy is doing, you have to make the decision that are you in a financial, in a family, in a social economical position to buy? If you are, then there's always going to be people buying, especially in Hawaii. Yeah. Whether you can afford to do it is the real question. Whether it's comfortable and makes sense for your family and your positioning is the real question. I mean, I can tell you in Washington, we've only been on the market for 2 days. We've already been beat out once, and we're like busting ass today trying to put something together for this other thing that just popped up that, you know, it's competitive. It depends on the neighborhoods you're looking at. Even in an uncertain time, even when it's a little bit volatile and things economically aren't as, cookie cutter as they once were or could be.
There's more questions than answers.
There's a lot more questions right now than we have had for a while. But the market is always going to, there's always going to be people who need to buy homes. And the way we see it is there may be like a slight like rate improvement or something that comes up soon, but I want to buy now because it is April. And if there are 5 buyers that I'm bidding against this house for in April, then there will be 10 buyers that I'm bidding against that house for in June. You know what I mean? So, don't think about timing everything too quickly, or don't think about timing things too aggressively, meaning don't hem and haw all night and lose sleep over when I should buy and when's the right timing to jump in, because you just need to think, how long are you going to hold that property? Like, and that's how you really need to think about it. Cause at the end of the day, like even right now, the discussions I'm having with my agent up there is like, this is a dope community. Looking at the year over year appreciation on this, there's a lot of stuff we can do with this house. Like I'm fine overpaying a little bit to get in, like, cause I know we're going to make that money back.
Right. What you pay for the home is something that's permanent. Interest rates are not permanent.
Right.
So if you have the idea of trying to time the market, that's a hard game to play, and not everybody, I would say few will win that game. There's luck out there.
Yeah.
But time in the market is better than timing the market. And yeah, I could speak back as we check in now. When I bought my home, I was in a nutso COVID market that I had to pay way over, and there were 12 offers on that house, and we did what we had to do. We overpaid because we were getting that 2.5% that should have never happened, and maybe not popular, but I hope it never does. So whatever you pay for the home is something that's always going to be on record, but you can refi later. So if you're on the sideline specifically because of interest rates,
don't
let us. Let's have a conversation.
Warn against hanging out on the sideline, especially because a lot of people are, and a lot of people are going to come to market because they need to during the summertime before school starts. All of that. So I'm like, please just get us into something now, so I don't have to pay $50,000 more this summer. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, okay. So business is good. I know you definitely had a busier first quarter than I did, because I was dying in the first quarter. Like, what's going on here?
January was good to me. February and March were quiet. So I had like the launch to 25, I think, was leftover, and some energy, residual grind from the end of the year that really paid off. And then February and March were a little bit quiet, but now it's starting to feel like spring has sprung.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. You want me to bring Aiden in?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Bring that.
Bring that
guy in. Aiden and I are, no, we're not. We are done with definitely the most difficult escrow of the year for 2005 so far. No, wait, 2005, 2025. Okay. So this is Aiden. Aiden and I are just on the back end, just finished wrapping up like a very stressful escrow that finally closed. I'm going to read the safe survey from that. This is from Ross and Taylor. It's been a roller coaster, honestly. Yes, agree, it has. I know they're trying to help me, and it's not on core teams. And more so, I think the lender and escrow are trying to figure out some kind of verbiage. Both Mahi and Aiden are trying their best. When I tell you, we were trying our very best every day. Multiple, I was trying my best not to lose my mind, and just I had to literally come into the office and be like, Derek, I almost sent this email. Please talk me off the ledge. Like,
yeah.
So talk to us about this escrow and business in general.
So it was a loan assumption done between buyer and seller. We're representing buyer.
A VA assumption, right?
VA assumption. Yeah. We got down to the wire where everything was all good. Buyer had the loan, everything was approved, all contingencies were closed. We're tracking forward towards closing. On the closing date, the scheduled closing date, we usually get an email or a call between like 8 or 9 in the morning that says, hey, congratulations, the file has successfully recorded. On very rare occasions, we'll get like hey, we couldn't record, but it's so rare. Usually
I've
all
never
of this
had that happen before. Not on closing day.
Not on closing day.
Yeah.
I might have had one, but it's that rare that when we see something come back like, hey, we got kicked back from the city or the state saying like we can't convey, and they give us reasons. Like the state and the bureau will say, hey, reason number 1, we couldn't do it, and reason number 2, reason number 3, if there are. We had 2 reasons.
As well as like, here's the solution to each one.
Right.
Yeah.
So it shows you all the issues and it shows you all of the ways that you can correct it. So the 2 things we got kickback from or for were from the lender side. saying that, hey, the lender needs to make adjustments to this wording and this wording in sections 1 and 2. And
mind you, verbiage that is simply required for the county.
is required.
It's just simply
seems
required.
straightforward,
Yeah.
too. When you read the reasons of why it got rejected, you're like, oh,
Easy.
yeah, this
Okay, boop, boop, boop.
obviously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll just do this
Yeah.
and then pow. Yeah.
However, the lender was reluctant to make the changes that they had previously made before.
That's the kicker. They have made this revision before recently.
So it took us 3.5.
We were on week 4.
Oh, we are on week 4.
Mhm.
It took us 4 weeks to get that verbiage changed. And the most frustrating part was that the buyer was liable for the loan. In the lender's system, the lender's system stated, their automated system, which we can get into on a whole different topic, but their automated system was just saying like, oh, the property conveyed. But
we approve this assumption. It's yours.
yeah, it's
This
yours.
loan is yours.
But it was the lender's obligation to make those changes in order for the property to convey.
No
So-
other party, and like the buyer, the seller, us as agents, the other side, if they wanted to do anything, which they did not.
They did not.
And the escrow team, like no other person could do anything to fix the problem. It was only the lender that could do that. And that proved to be a problem.
It was a very big problem.
Yes.
In the end, after sending multiple emails,
Hundreds.
what's it called?
Phone
We had,
calls,
I
emails.
bet half of their department all CC'd. Any email we could get our hands on, we put on a full email thread on blast, emailing them throughout the weeks, calling them with no responses, requesting calls and not getting responses. We were able to finally close the deal.
Yeah. And it was,
And who would have thought that what we needed to close the deal was the lender updating the 2 lines that the
yeah,
city needed,
exactly. From day one,
adjustments
which
for.
was like, okay, so 2 things about that, guys, is when you ask us, like, what's the tragic flaw of a loan assumption? And this is it. The tragic flaw is that it's the wild, wild west. And it's just completely depends on the mortgage servicer. It completely depends on who holds the loan. Because at the end of the day, a new loan origination is not happening. So, the whoever is holding the mortgage, they're not making new money off of anything. They're just like, here's this like irritating administrative thing that we have to do.
There's a
for these
processing
people.
fee. But it's
Yeah.
not like these I don't know. I'm not speaking to this as fact, but I doubt they're commission based.
I don't think so.
Like they're in such a big organization.
You're on a salary just to do your job.
Yeah.
Like I feel like.
Yeah.
But there's no urgency.
But I guess that could also play into the
Correct.
no urgency, right?
There's
It's
no
like, hey, I'm getting
urgency.
paid either way. On Friday, I get my paycheck, and it's not going to be different if I don't do it versus do this.
And we were like racking our brains, like talking to Pacific Rim Mortgage all the time because while they don't do assumptions, they are the lender experts. They're the mortgage mafia. So, if anybody's going to be able to problem solve with us, it's them. And even they were like, I cannot believe this is happening.
And other escrow companies too. We're checking in with other escrow companies, other lenders, and saying like, is there anything we can do on our side? And all of them came back and said, no, what the current escrow company is saying is correct. Like you just got to press the lender for it.
Things that would just absolutely never happen in a normal home purchase. Like a loan would never be started and a mortgage would never be paid by a buyer if the home was not conveyed yet.
Right.
In a
Conveyed properly.
normal, in a normal transaction. In an assumption, that can happen, which
Right.
we have learned.
But it also goes to show like these mainland lenders, now some of them are great. I think when you have a more human to human connection rather than with a big conglomerate, it makes it easier. But there's a lot of things that this mortgage company just didn't know about our systems and processes. And although we tried to explain it, it just didn't go through. Maybe it was just the assumption that made it very hard. But I've had other experiences too with mainland lenders that there's just different timelines, different things that need to be done in Hawaii. And
Yeah, because that was the issue on this conveyance not working was that their normal standardized verbiage that they use just doesn't fly in Hawaii specifically.
Correct.
So mainland lender, oh, this should work everywhere. We have no problems with this. Da, da, da. I'm like, well, that doesn't matter how you close in whatever, on the continent. That's just not how land court does not recognize that verbiage. Therefore, you need to change it. And so it was very frustrating. It was very difficult. And my takeaway from this is, how are we going to be proactive for you? Because that's the other thing that you have going on is your own.
I having experienced it, on another hand is great because I know what to expect now. But also, too, what's even better is that I have a seller's agent on the other side that's communicative and collaborative with me. And that's not trying to be like Debbie Downers or trying to talk bad, but there's a lot of collaboration that comes into the sales side and the purchase side. And I don't know what the overall sentiment is between like buyers from the outside of like, oh, buyers agents and sellers agents, they're like butting heads with each other all the time, trying to make deals go through. But it's not a lot of butting heads. It's what should happen. It doesn't have to be. What the best negotiations are between agents that are collaborative and communicative with each other. Because without that, you can't really get a deal done. And if you don't have an agent on the other side that can communicate well, keep you in the loop and voice problems from either side and then try to find solutions for both parties. It becomes a very hard situation where you're kind of like in this room by yourself trying to speak to people, but those other people aren't showing up.
100%. I have clients right now who are purchasing, love them, and they're super detail oriented. Like they, there are some buyers who like you send them all these things and they are just like, cool. And they don't read it. You know what I mean? They don't really. They do. They actually take the time to really know what they're diving into. They take the time to review everything and look over everything with a fine tooth comb to really know what they're doing. And they have a lot of questions because people who actually are reading things then have questions, So I am like thanking all the gods that the other agent on the other side is somebody who is very super detail oriented as well and super communicative and very collaborative and like very responsive. And it's just like, easy, because it's like a question that you as the seller's agent don't even have to answer. You just forward it to your seller and then they can answer that question. It can be that easy. But I do know that there are, agents on the other side from time to time that I've come across personally. We just did where it's like, you're just sending things into the ether and you never hear anything back. And then that makes the process very frustrating. Even if it's something simple, like, hey, is that tree supposed to be there? The seller could tell you yes or no, very easily, but they don't want to answer that. And now like what you're going to have my buyers feeling insecure and want to cancel a deal over not knowing about a tree because you don't want to just ask the question.
Right.
Like that's the difference between, making sure you have an agent who is very good at their job, is going to be your fiduciary and represent your best interests all the time, but is not an a-hole to other humans and is somebody who actually is like, a nice person, because that really matters. Who I collaborate on the other side. Like sometimes when I see a certain name, I know it can be difficult, like this one, we knew. Like, oh, okay, well, we're going to jam and do our best, but it really would be nice to have some, some help from the other side as well from time to time. So again, very important, choose your agent wisely. Make sure it's a fit for what you need professionally, a fit for what you need as far as who you get along with, because it is an intimate process and you will spend a lot of time with us, whether that be just on phone calls, in person, whatever it is. And
also knowing who's on the other side too, right? When you're submitting offers, or say you're a seller, right? And you have multiple offers in your hand. We had a situation where we had a seller, multiple offers in hand, prices were all similar. And what it really came down to were just smaller terms like contingency timelines. And out of the three agents, there was one that had a track record of not being great on the communication side. And that's something you have to tell a seller, right? It's like, hey, look, by the way, we have experience with all of these agents. We know that this one kind of doesn't collaborate very well or doesn't communicate very well. And that's something a seller or buyer should take into consideration as well. As one, to set expectations on like, hey, I'm going to make an extra $5,000. It's like, oh, well, this agent is notorious to come very high and then
ask for a bunch of credits.
ask for a bunch of credits on the back end. So would you rather take, 800 flat with reasonable credits, because we've worked with this agent before, we know they're detail oriented, or do you want to go with the 805 that, in the last 2 transactions we've done with them, go for like $10,000-$15,000 credits and then threaten cancellation? Those are all things you should consider.
Or even if it's like, if I'm the seller and I have 2 of the exact same offers in front of me, but I happen to know that lender that is attached to this offer is solid and closes all the time, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with that one. It's same for all of your business, all of your vendors on your vendor partners on your home purchase. So it's really good to connect to reputable people, which is why we always recommend First Pacific Rim, at least as a starting point. Cause I can't tell you how many, phone calls I've had where it's like, oh, I got a call from Jody from Pac Rim, right? Pacific Rim. It's like, oh, I'm not worried about lending. Like, oh, Jody's the best. So that as a buyer is a sigh of relief, because what does the seller care about? The seller cares about their money. The seller cares about their bottom line. Like, let's just be real. That's what it is. Like, you're selling the home because you're doing whatever with that proceeds. And when you know that the lender on the other side is like somebody who's a closer, somebody who's a hammer, and you're not worried about the financing, then you can have confidence in moving forward with that buyer. So choose your industry professionals wisely. Go to coreteamhawaii.com. Let us help get you connected, because you could use us if you want to.
Use us. Another thing I wanted to bring up was I had an experience with a lender. She was very great in communications, but it's something I've never experienced before. It was, so how we go, how do you get a pre-approval letter from Pac Rim?
I request it.
You request it, right?
Yeah.
You go in, you say, hey, this is what we're putting the offer at. This is the down payment. Pac Rim already verifies like, oh, this is sufficient for their funds to close. This is sufficient for their down payment. Yeah, they're approved for everything.
This is what the down payment should look like. This is the loan amount.
This is everything. And I'm like, great, cool. I have confidence that this pre-approval is, is going to hold strong.
Yes.
I had a lender. I was like, hey, I'm requesting a pre-approval letter. And she's like, oh, I sent you a portal so you can generate your own. I was like, oh,
crazy.
Wait.
I mean, I could see why somebody would want that. For the ease of like being able to.
Did the portal throttle you to not put too much, or could you put I could
put 5
million?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, wow, this is interesting. I was like, this is not
good.
Not good. In the wrong hands, that tool would be terrible for a buyer, because if the agent was like, oh yeah, let's just write a big down payment, and they don't have it, then you're screwed. But I started asking the lender. I was like, hey, where are you with the approval process? Did you verify cash funds? Do you know where the down payment is coming from? Have you reviewed credit? Anything like that? And she's like, oh, what are you, my underwriter? And I was like, no, like I'm like, no, I'm an agent that has gone through a few things before, and I want to make sure that when I submit this offer,
I have a fiduciary duty to make sure my client can perform the things that you're saying.
Another VA assumption client. So I was like asking her questions. She was like, oh my God, like, why are you like asking me?
That's
like
wild.
Her underwriter, meaning the people that review the files. Like,
That's
I'm
wild.
asking questions like that. I'm like, yes, you gave me a portal that allows me to write whatever down payment I want, whatever purchase price I want. And
I just can't even. The other thing I hate is when they give you like pushback. We never have any of these problems with the people, our trusted vendors who we do work with and like love to work with. But on occasion, our clients go with other people that we have not worked with, and we're like, cool, let's do it. But the ones that I can't, I'm like, oh my God, he like would not just, I'm like, can I please have a pre-approval letter specific to the offer price that we are submitting for this home? I already gave them a blanket pre-approval. I'm like, that's $500,000 more than the price point on this house. I don't want to expose that they can go up that high. Like, well, how does that help our client that we have together as a buyer's agent and a lender accomplish their goal in the best way?
You know what that is? That's mainland. In certain mainland states,
just like automated. Here's your automated thing.
Where you're buying for a $500,000 townhome, but you're pre-approved for $2 million. They just show that.
That's so crazy.
And so they don't see it as losing leverage. They see it as like, hey,
oh, look how strong we are.
Yeah,
like,
look how strong we are. Which could be like when in the 2021 market, maybe we would do that. Maybe we would say, hey,
maybe
depending on the market or the house.
That's a good point. It depends on the market.
But here, it's like lazy.
It's lazy.
So
not calculated.
and not calculate.
He-
I want to jump in.
Here's a more
I'm
detailed.
leaving.
Oh,
I'm leaving, but hey, everyone, Aiden just showed me this calculator he made with AI. We're already using something like this in a spreadsheet
The
form.
website one,
He showed you this already?
dude.
This is sick. This is like, so that's my house.
Are you gonna plug it in?
I don't.
No,
It's
don't
up to
show
Aiden
them.
if
Don't
he's
show them
ready.
yet.
No, I don't want to.
Don't
He's
show
not
them
ready.
yet.
It's his baby. He's a baby. But if you go to coreteamhawaii.com and contact us and go through like, it shows like, if you bought at this price, you put this down payment, or maybe you put different down payment, maybe put different purchase price. What
What's
is your
the
interest rate?
Yeah.
What's it appreciating at 3%, 4%, 5%? We already had that, but this is
The way
clean.
he made it so
Good job.
easy to like use. Anyway.
You're hanging, bro.
Is
Yeah,
that
see
your
this one,
laptop?
though?
Oh yeah.
look at that one later. But back to the blanket pre-approval letter.
Yeah.
A real world situation. I had a big bank, a client reach out to a big bank, and she said that I'm approved for X amount,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to write the offer at a lower amount. And I said, hey, I would highly advise you to not do that. I will do it if you want me to, but I don't think it's the best for you and your situation. And the reason why is the buyer wanted to negotiate on price away from her max, which is, something you want to do, right? You want to get the property for as cheap as you can get it, but at a reasonable price between buyer and seller. That's what negotiations are for. Now, she wanted me to submit the offer with this max pre-approval letter. And I said, hey, probably not. I would advise you to go to Pacific Rim Mortgage or a mortgage broker that's going to be more hands-on with you rather than sending you automated stuff. She's a first-time home buyer. She didn't really understand the situation. So I said, hey, look, if you're trying to negotiate, say your max is 500 and you want to get the price between 470 and 480, you wouldn't want to send a pre-approval for 500 because if, say, you were the seller's agent, Mrs. Buyer, if you saw an offer price for, 460 and you saw a pre-approval letter that came back at 500, what would you do at that price? And she'd say, oh, I know their max, so I'll just push them up.
Max. Yeah.
And I was like, exactly. I was like,
Yeah.
that's why you want a pre-approval specified for the exact offer that you're going to submit rather than just your max, because you're going to lose leverage on the negotiation.
Yeah.
You'd rather keep the seller in the dark per se
Mhm.
and just show the cards that you're willing to show rather than
Yeah.
show your best.
Same as with like a verification of funds. It depends on the market.
Mhm.
Sometimes if you are like trying to just make a clean sweep and you're just like dropping the hammer
Mhm.
and you just want to get accepted, maybe I do verify. Maybe I do send you my verification of funds to show you I get $1 million in the bank. Don't worry about me. Like
Mhm.
whatever. However, if we're in we're in a competitive situation, we're testing to see the seller's, level, but we're not willing to overpay on any of this. So, we don't want to expose how much cash we actually have
Mhm.
because we'll write it in like 3 or 4 days after acceptance is when we need to give you like bank statements or whatever your verification of funds may be. If it's from like our lender, Pacific Rim Mortgage, they can provide that up front by saying we have verified it.
Mhm.
Not providing any of the bank statements. So you don't know how much they have
Mhm.
in excess of what is required to close a
Yes.
transaction. That is the preferred
Mhm.
strategy by our team. But, I'm like, it's just the same thing. The overexposure, it's sometimes you just don't need to do that and it's not to your benefit.
Mhm.
So have an agent, have a team that like knows what is necessary to get the job done without being crazy,
Yeah.
without exposing all your cards and being ridiculous with it.
You want to be skilled with all the moves that you make, and there's no right answer. There's no blanket right answer for your situation.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no like, oh, you have to do this because this is how it's done. It's no, like, where's the home that you're buying? What's the interest on
Yeah.
it? Or interest, not payment wise, but
Mhm. How much interest does
how
it
many
have?
people are
Yeah.
looking at it? How many people are offering? How
and
many
how bad
offers
do
are
you
on?
want it?
How bad do you want
Yeah.
it?
Mhm.
And all of those things come into play. So asking this blanket statement is really hard to answer. I had a friend of mine reach out to me on Instagram yesterday. He said, hey man, what's the typical down payment that you see here? And I was like, when you get an question like that,
Mhm.
it's hard for me at least to just be like, give you an answer.
Yeah.
There has to be more like more things. I don't have my phone on me, but I told him, I was like, hey, you know, there's no real typical down payment. It's very dependent on the individual. And I kind of like broke down a few points. But I didn't want to like overbear him with
just like inundate him with
just
stuff
like 20, like an whole essay. And
you're like, well, funny thing about that is
the, you know, you give as much as the other person wants to know as well. And then feed off of it, right?
Yeah.
Like how nuanced does this person want to get? Typically a home buyer really wants to get nuance. But when you're like talking to a friend, you're also like, you know, I'm your friend first before your agent. So like I'm going to give you, you know, bits and pieces here. And if you really start wanting to like know more, like I'm here for you. And I told him that. I was like, hey, here's some things you want to consider. Consider these last 3 points the most. And if you have any other questions, just let me know. I'm not going to blow up your phone. I'm not going to like hit you up every day, but you know, here's some information to go off of, and kind of left it at that for him.
Yeah.
Mahe, you want to hit these questions?
Sure. Yeah. Derek is significantly local kind guy. Derek is significantly invested in real estate. What do you say about lacking investment diversification? That's something he talks about.
Yes. Derek
He's
lacks
going to do more.
investment diversification. He is very heavily in real estate, but he also believes in real estate the most. So
they always say invest in what you like and what you believe in, right? So
right. So I think he's over leveraged in the real estate side for sure, in my opinion, but also being over leveraged in the market that is the most insulated from anything and everything else real estate related, I think is a very great hedge. Yeah. And you know, it's all of what he likes and what he knows, right? You shouldn't invest in things that you don't know and you don't like. So if he's over leveraged in real estate in Hawaii, something that he really loves and really likes,
a pretty nice thing to be over leveraged in,
and really knows.
Yeah.
You know, it's more of a sound investment than, you know, say throwing a dartboard, you know, looking at the S&P 500 and then going, okay, let me throw 5 darts and then say, okay, I'm going to invest in those companies. I think that's a better play. Yeah. Derek's play rather than that. So would I like to see him more in stocks, more in bond, more in index funds, for sure. But also index funds and stocks go down, as you can see. And not having your deployable cash to get into another investment is something that you don't want to do. Yeah. So if you have a long investment horizon and you know, you want to get into stocks and you're not planning to sell them in the next year, dude, go ahead, get into more stocks. But if you're saying, hey, once I have enough deployable cash to get into another real estate deal, I want to do it, then maybe keeping the funds in like a CD or a high yield savings account that offers you less, but no downside, then it's probably the right way to go.
Literally just did that myself. And now using that CD money for...
It's not a lot, you know, you didn't make a lot of money in the CD, but
I didn't make zero money and I'm able to pull it out.
Exactly.
And I'm able to use it for a down payment now.
Did the CD
gain like $3,000?
Did the CD did it mature already, or did you like pull it out?
Like
it
matured. She let me pull them out like a couple days early, but there was something that they forgot to do. That was like, oh, well, we'll do this because that's our bad. We should have. But anyway, we won't get into that. But yeah, different things. Okay. Can VA loans be used for overseas purchases?
Ooh,
actually, you know what? I don't know.
That's a good question.
I can't say that. I feel like I imagine so because our military clients PCS overseas all the time. So I don't see why. I don't know. And that would be a great question for Jody. However, she's not able to come today. So we'll put a pin in it and we'll answer it for you next time.
That's a interesting one because the loan is backed by the US.
I don't know.
And if you're gonna buy in a different country, the US is backing.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
We don't know the answer. We don't know the answer.
Question.
We'll ask Jody. And if it's more of an immediate, if you can't wait until next week's live, hit us up on the contact form and then we can link you guys with Jody. Yes, Aiden from Ethan DeVries.
Yo, Ethan, what's good, my guy? If anyone watching is looking for a 2-bedroom condo with ocean views in town,
coming soon.
Hit me up.
Okay. Also, what else? We have a 3-2, or is it 4-2 in Mililani, single
We have
family
a
home.
4-3 coming up.
Mililani.
It has been cooking.
Yep.
We've been cooking. Seller's been cooking.
Yep.
Vacant staged. If you're interested and want to get in early before we hit it on the live on the MLS, hit us up as well.
Yep. And we have a very unique 2-2, a large 2-2. And what's unique about it is that it's like a townhome technically. However, it's a 2-house townhome. So it's single level walk up, and it's almost 1,300 square feet. And it's a 2-unit CPR or 2-unit townhome. So, but it's like an attached single family.
Okay.
And it has 0 HOA dues. So,
But it's attached.
it's attached.
That's
0
interesting.
HOA dues whatsoever. Kaneohe, ko'olau,
We got
ko'olau
CPR
views.
docs or what?
Yes, there are condo docs. There are condo docs for this only 2-unit, and nothing has changed since they built the thing. You know,
Nice.
it's really like an attached single family home, and it is priced under $1 million. So if you
Hey.
are a kaneohe buyer who is just priced out of the single family home market and don't want to mess with these extreme high HOA dues that we are seeing all over the place, this is going to be for you. So this is a unique one. This is a special one. So hit us up. That's going to be live in like a week and a half. Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions that I
For Aiden,
missed?
yeah, from Gunther.
Gunther Lee.
Hey, Aiden, did you buy a place yet? If so, where?
Ooh, I am in process of purchasing one. Right now, I am buying a condo in the heart of Waipahu.
You know what? Dare I say it is the heart.
Dare I say? Yeah,
I
no,
s-
it's
Your unit is the literal heart of Waipahu.
yeah, it's a joke because the listing agent made a video and he was like, "It's in the heart of Waipahu." I love this agent, but I use it as like a running joke, like I live in the heart of Waipahu.
Which to me, everybody knows that's like Seafood City or like,
Yeah,
Don Quixote or
Don
something.
Quixotes.
Yeah.
Don Quixotes. Yes, I'm in process of
Yeah.
doing.
We touched on
that
it
right now.
earlier.
Yeah.
It's a VA assumption.
Yeah, Gunther, if you want to chat about it, yeah, let me know. We kind of chat about different investment opportunities.
Yeah. I am looking for 4+ bedroom in Koa Ridge. Hit us up. We'll check out what the inventory looks like. If you're open to resell, I do know you sound like a Nanea buyer, unless if you're like a 1.3-ish for a 4-bedroom, you are a Nanea buyer. If you are like $1 million and you want to stick more to that, then you are a smaller home CPR development Wai'oha buyer. Hit us up, coreteamhawaii.com. We would love to help you with that, with whether it be for resale or new purchase. But if you are looking for new construction, please contact us first, because if you go directly to the developer, I'm going to just say it transparently, we just can't help you, and we want to. So, but they do have strict rules at developments about that. We have to be the one to intro you. So make sure you hit us up and let us help you with that.
Oh wait, Gunther is in Ho'opili, right?
Yeah, Gunther's in
shoot,
Ho'opili.
my bad.
He's in Ikena. Why? What?
No.
Did you say something?
Yeah. I said we chat about investment opportunities. This is probably a long time ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Mhm. How are schools funded? Why are homes in Kaneohe and Kailua expensive, but the schools are not that great? I mean, are the schools not that great? There are like definitely schools that I would definitely be fine sending my kids to those schools above some other ones. So the area,
The
it
Windward
has
has
to
a
do,
charm.
yeah, it has to do with the neighborhood. Like there are some communities that you buy for the school.
Mhm.
We can't really even talk too much at length about that. We can't tell you what those neighborhoods are that people will target specifically for neighborhoods.
Mhm.
Windward side may not be that. I think the schools are okay. I think that, this is probably mid-level and they're not terrible, not amazing, but you're not buying necessarily into that side of the island for the school. Like you're
Mhm.
buying it because you're on the windward side of the island. You're buying
Yeah.
it for proximity to ocean. You're buying it for ko'olaus. You're buying the community. You're not really buying this. I think it's community first, school district second there. So
yeah. The ko'olaus,
STEM ko'olaus,
they drive appreciation. Just
they sure do. Yeah. It's just up the cliff. Like,
yeah.
Yep.
The guy Kevin elaborated too.
Kevin Davis, mahalo. We own here. Did not use our VA loan for our condo purchase in 2000. Thinking about living overseas. Was wondering if that type of loan would be available. You all are the kind. You know what, Kevin? Email me. Can you just email me mahe, MAHE at coreteamhawaii.com, or if you want, you can CC info at coreteamhawaii.com.
and CC your boy.
And CC Aiden as well. Aiden, Aiden,
Where are you? Where
at
are you looking?
coreteamhawaii.com. Because we don't know the answers ourselves, but that's like a great question. So we want to connect you to somebody who can actually help you get that answered. So
Cameron's mom I was chatting with
Kevin
her.
Davis, I'm going to be looking for that email.
Cameron's mom, and she was the dad works overseas. He like travels all the time.
Mhm.
So they're like heavily considering like buying in Japan. They brought it up to me. They're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, can you know, what do you think about it?" And then I sat down with her for dinner last weekend,
Mhm.
and she was like, "Oh, did you look into that more?" I was like, "Oh, shoot, like I didn't know that I was tasked with that." And she was like, "No, like, can you like look into it?" I was like, "Yeah, you know, I'll look into it." So depending on where you're buying, you know, I plan to just have conversations with hopefully a Japanese realtor and
Mhm.
figure out what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
probably like some residency and job needed
I don't
to
know.
purchase. But yeah, hit us
Maybe
up
if it's
where
like
you want
a-
to purchase.
Maybe you can if it's like a US contract that you have. You know what I mean?
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? What?
yeah, well,
Actually,
let us
Oh,
know.
Ashley, why is there money on there?
Ashley, thank you, but please,
Ashley, don't give us
Yeah.
money.
Ashley,
just super commenting.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Ashley,
Will they
you-
have more Plan F? Oh, that's the party house. The Plan F. I don't know. I'll reach out to my contacts at the developer to see.
Kapili,
No. In Coral Ridge. Yeah. The Plan F is the Bambucha.
the big boy.
Yeah, the big one.
Ashley,
Do I think
buy a
Coral Ridge
house
is
with us.
safe? Yeah, call me, Ashley. I definitely think Coral Ridge is safe. It's like Coral Ridge is like baby Mililani to me. Like,
So yeah. So here's another real estate related topic is finding the new urban sprawl.
mhm.
So there was an investor, he did a podcast and his whole thing was purchasing land and how he made his money. And he said, okay, here's what I did. I found the city center and then I drew circles or radius around. And what I did was I found the closest radius to the city center with vacant land that I could afford.
Mhm.
And I purchased that.
Mhm.
It was a very long-term play because what happens is city starts to sprawl out. Buildings start to get erected, more buildings and shops open further away. And then in 20, 30 years, you know, that development is now the heart of Waipahu. And that's another thing that you want to consider that's kind of a hedge on these new developments is like what's going on around it.
Mhm.
So I already think ahead of like what I'm going to purchase next.
Mhm.
Ho'opili and I don't know about Coral Ridge. I just but anyway.
That's surprising to me, being that you grew up in Mauka, that you wouldn't be like, yeah, Coral Ridge.
Yeah. But Coral Ridge is another thing that excites me as well because Coral Ridge, they're opening a Target nearby, right? You're going to have Target, Costco, all within a 5-minute walk. I don't know if that's discriminating.
Oh, that is. We're not. It's 5 minutes away.
5 minutes,
Within 5
minutes away
Yeah.
from each other.
Yeah.
And you think they're building a lot of homes. That means Target's going to need to have a lot of workers there. What other shops are going to come up? There's new developments, more people, more jobs going into that place. Ho'opili is next to Kapolei, which is growing a lot of industrial sites, a lot of commercial. There are places in Ho'opili where you can start businesses and live.
Ashley,
And you
stop.
think if Ho'opili is going to keep developing for another 17 years, what other job opportunities, what new market is going to come there? And, you know, that's going to be of high consideration for me in the future.
Yeah.
And finding that new sprawl.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very long-term
Yeah.
play, but
Yeah.
if it plays out that way, that'd be very great for everyone's appreciation.
Yeah. I think Coral Ridge is likely less of a sprawl because the Coral Ridge will be the sprawl. It's not like there's going to be extra stuff coming up besides Coral Ridge, but they are going to have like commercial as well as like a medical building, like whether that we're not sure if it's going to be like a ER or like what it's going to be, but there will be like medical facility. There will be some kind of big business box store, whatever store that I'm Target, man. It would be nice to have a Target 10 minutes away from my house, but so that's gonna, it's not gonna be like you're not in Kaka'ako, you're not, you're not downtown, you're not walkable to everything everywhere, but they're building Coleridge such that it can be like a sustainable little like microclimate of its own little community.
Mhm.
So I do think it's safe. I do think that outside of whatever offerings they have, which is supposed to be like some cafes here and there, unlike Ho'opili where you can drive 10 minutes and have everything
Mhm,
because
mhm.
you're near Kapolei, Coleridge will have its own insulated thing. It'll obviously have Costco right around the corner, grocery stores, everything like that. But you're still probably driving to like Kapolei or
yeah.
downtown if you want to do like, plenty of stuff.
Mhm.
You want to do like lots of different things. But yeah, great questions. And thank you, Ashley. We appreciate you. I think we are done with all of the questions and we got to get back to work. So thank you guys for joining us as always. Tuesdays are our new, no, did we always do this on Tuesdays?
Yeah, we do.
What's this?
Tuesdays, 10:30 a.m. Hawaii Standard
Tuesdays, 10:30 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time.
10 turds.
10
Time.
turtles.
Give or take.
Give or take
Give or
1
take.
hour. Somewhere around there, we will be here. But yeah, we try to be here every week to answer questions like this with you guys. But at the end of the day, if you have more detailed questions that you don't want to ask in the comment section and you are ready to actually have a sit down with us and really get serious about maybe your home search or thinking about what your Ohana's next move should be with the home that you already have, you know the drill. Go to coreteamhawaii.com, fill out the contact form, and let us know. Okay, thanks, guys.
It shoots.
Shoots.